Let's read some Glitch in the Matrix stories. Hi, Team Matrix. Hi! I've hesitated for so long to send this to you because while I know it's real, most people just think I'm crazy. This is kind of two stories in one because to understand my history of spirits and the other realm, I have to share other things. Okay, here it goes. Ever since I was a little girl, I have always just known things. I'm not psychic by any means, but I am extremely intuitive and my intuition is rarely wrong. I've always felt very connected to the spirit world, even though I didn't know what that meant when I was younger. I rarely saw things, but I always felt things. I'm what I believe is called a sensitive. And for a long time, I think I lost some of that part of me, or it was pushed down because when I would tell people about it, I was told it wasn't real and it was just my imagination. So as a child, you internalize that. So I was almost afraid of being weird, so I kept it to myself. You're not weird and you're not crazy, and we believe you. My parents built a house when I was born, and I lived in that same house up until I was 17 when I moved out on my own. To this day, I am absolutely terrified of their basement. I've always felt a heaviness there. Over the years, I convinced myself it's because it's a dark basement, although it is finished and it has a bedroom down there that I stay in when I visit. There isn't a ton of natural light, so I decided to have that be why it felt so dark and heavy. However, a few years ago, while my husband, kids, and myself were living in Texas, my daughters and I went back to my parents' home to visit in another state, while my husband stayed back because that's just army life. When I was there, I slept down in the basement bedroom by myself, and every night I was woken up by what felt like something holding me down. It almost felt like I was underwater and trying to get to the surface in time to get that big gulp of air after holding your breath for too long. When I'd finally been able to catch my breath and breathe normally again, I could feel on my body the spots in which I had been held down. Since that trip home, I've never slept in that bedroom ever alone again. It never happened if someone was with me. So after 3 nights in a row, I had one of my daughters sleep with me each night and it didn't happen again. Now onto the part of the story that will hopefully make all of that make sense or not. We will see. So my family is living in Texas at the time. The day we moved in, we just moved a mattress into my younger 2 girls' bedroom and a mattress into my older daughter's bedroom so they had a place to sleep, and then we had the movers download the truck. I went into the younger 2's bedroom and I laid back on their mattress and I was looking up at a spot on the wall that looked like it had been patched. They just didn't paint over the spot, which was no big deal as we planned to paint each room anyway, but as I was laying there looking at that spot, I felt so heavy and dark. I said out loud, "That looks like the devil." The shape of the patch spot looked like the face of something demonic, and feeling that heaviness should have been the first sign that something was wrong. But I brushed it off as stress from moving across several states and then getting ready to take a trip in the midst of all of it. Over the next few months, I started falling into a really dark place. I have suffered with mild depression here and there over the years, but this was otherworldly. I gained 50 pounds, had no motivation, I was angry all of the time, and I was borderline suicidal. If it weren't for my children, I know with complete certainty that I wouldn't be here. This depression took over every piece of me, and I was trying to mother my babies at the same time. When I would leave my house and go anywhere, I would feel this relief, like I could function on a normal level, and I didn't feel that heaviness. But the minute I stepped back into that house, I felt awful again. During this time, my youngest daughter was having night terrors. Her room had the demon wall when we moved in. These night terrors happened every single night and she would be screaming, drenched in sweat, couldn't soothe her, etc. What always seemed like a typical night terror. Fast forward a few months and the pandemic starts. That made it all even worse as we couldn't really go anywhere. Toward the end of 2020, my husband decided to make a career move in the military and he left to go do some training. He was gone for 24 days. 10 of those days, we couldn't have any contact with him. This was no big deal. As a military family, this kind of thing is normal, and honestly, I don't hate my alone time usually. One of the nights, I'm laying in my bed reading, and I finally decide to go to sleep. I reach across myself, pull back the blankets to go shut off my light, and my bedroom door starts shaking, like someone is trying to get in, and on the other side of the door, I hear my youngest screaming, "No, no, no, no!" She gets the door open, and as I'm standing up, she is looking back over her shoulder as she is running toward me, screaming, "No, no, no, no," and crying. I'm looking behind her at the door to see what is chasing her, and then all of a sudden, she snaps out of it, lays down in my bed, and goes to sleep. I sat in my bed with the light dimmed, but on all night. I didn't sleep at all. I cannot blame you, friend. The next morning, I was holding my daughter, and I said, "I'm sorry you had a bad dream last night. Are you okay?" And she said, "I didn't have any bad dreams last night, Mama. I had really good dreams." This story still gives me the sickest feeling in the pit of my stomach every time I tell it. But we moved across the country to the coast, and she never had another night terror after we left that house. Most people tell me it's a coincidence, but I think she's sensitive like I am, and I think energy really affects her on a deep level. Now I pray over every room in our house very often, just as a safety measure for myself and my family. My depression is a million times better on a very low dose of medication, and my soul just feels lighter. I still get worried every time I go to my parents' home, and I still won't sleep down there alone. But after all these years, I still question if I was carrying something with me or if there's just something in my parents' basement and in that house in Texas. What do y'all think? I'm feeling like maybe the sensation when you said you felt like you were like trying to get up above water and you couldn't, is that maybe like you were experiencing sleep paralysis? I'm going to go with that it was happening in two different houses, that there were two separate things. Like there was something in the basement at your parents' house, and there was something in that room where you saw like the devil face on the wall in that house. I say that because you moved and it didn't follow you again. Unless it was something that was attached to something that you took from your parents' house to the next house, but not to your new house, if that makes sense. But you didn't mention anything of that. And also you didn't mention that stuff stopped at your parents' house. Actually, you wouldn't know, right? Because you just stopped sleeping alone downstairs when you visited your parents' house. But I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with there's something at your parents' house. There was something at this house. But if you are feeling better, everything's good, energy's lighter at this new place, you're good, I hope. Yeah, if those nightmares from your daughter, the night terrors that your daughter was having stopped in the new house, like it definitely didn't come with you. And I can't believe she was like, I have good dreams, Mom. I don't have bad dreams. So does that mean that she was just experiencing all that fucking crazy ass shit? I wonder if she has any memory of that now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm Auntie Matrix, and if you like stories like this, make sure that you hit that follow button, and you can send me yours right here to this email address if you want. We believe you.